Hola, Ship Familia. Welcome back to the latinXfactor Sharpen Your Professional Edge program. I'm Dr. Dora Renault here at Ship National, and I will be your moderator this evening. We're continuing to offer a series of webinars with a strong tech focus, and this month is our third, entitled Break into Tech with Experian. Now, Experian is a global tech company and a market leader in data and analytics. Our panelists tonight will share some great tips and strategies on what new skills are needed to help you break into tech and how to boost your marketability by pursuing these specific skills in demand for today and the future. Our special guests tonight are Mike Flores, Director of Human Resources for Experian. He is an expert on company culture and retention of employees. He oversees the planning, development, and evaluation of human resource-related initiatives that support organizational strategic goals. We also have Mylan Nguyen from the Human Resources Graduate Rotation Program. So happy to have you two join us today. So Mike and Mylan, welcome. How are you tonight?
Doing great, Dora. Thanks for having us. Appreciate being here.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, so let's get started here.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thanks, Dora. Really happy to be partnering with SHIP today. I know that when we first started having conversations about this opportunity, but there was a lot of good alignment. And by the way, thank you for having me as part of the familia here for the next hour. But as we did further work, we realized quickly that there was a lot of just fantastic alignment based on all of the programs that you offer, the really large initiatives, and your focus around diversity as well as technology really aligned to many of our core values. And so tonight, we'll talk about a number of things. We're going to start off with some background, though. So, Mylin, if you want to move to the next. Okay. So, as Dora mentioned, my professional background is in HR, and I started off as an HR rep. The company that I was working for at the time had a posting for something called an HR rep, and I was always fascinated by talent, and so I put in for the role. Eventually, started in the role, and I really started off doing a lot of recruiting. One of the more rewarding things was that as you work through a recruiting process and a cycle, those folks go on to sometimes do really great things across the organization. And you start learning a lot around talent and what makes an organization work, what makes an organization successful. And so I built my HR career further from there. And in 2008, I decided to make a change. And I was very specific in that I was looking to work for a global company and a global brand, something that was well trusted. There were a number of companies that I talked to. Experian was where I landed, and so it was interesting because I think that one of my learning points through that process was that it's not okay to be comfortable. The company that I was at just prior to that, in that role, I was really doing many of the same things over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. And so, there's a learning point about taking risks, understanding and knowing when you are comfortable and when you should maybe look at other opportunities. And so I did that. And in 2008, I joined, and it was a really interesting start. It was the first kind of large-scale enterprise that I had worked in, and teams moved at a much faster pace. But one of the things that I saw right away was that there was lots of opportunity. And so quickly, I got to be involved in just a number of different projects, and you can see some of those that are here on the screen. I started to work with graduate students, and one of the programs that we offer is an MBA leadership development program, where we partner with different universities. We bring folks into an annual cohort, and we focus on their development over the course of 18 months. We give them great exposure to different parts of our business, and they've gone on to hold really successful roles running some of our larger business units. Other opportunities that I've had is when I first started, I was very loud about my desire to work in a global organization and to play a global role. And this was another learning point for me, that if you talk about things and if you raise your voice sometimes loud enough, people actually pay attention and they listen. And so there was an opportunity for delivery for what we call one of our global development centers, which is based down in Santiago, Chile. And that global development center hosts about 600 employees. And learning about HR delivery within a different culture kind of takes on a whole different aspect. And so there's another takeaway there, which is always grow and always challenge and take yourself out of your own kind of environment or culture comfort zone, because I just learned a tremendous amount. About 2 years after that, I then took on HR delivery responsibility for our GDC location in Costa Rica. And so both sites operated in ways very similarly, but in other ways very different. So just the culture between Chile and Costa Rica can be really different in some aspects. I'm originally from California. You can see that I went on to go to graduate school, and so I diverted for a couple of years and moved out to Tempe, Arizona. But I'm from California. I live here now. I like spending time with my family. We have 3 teenagers at home, and so it is never a dull moment. One of those just started driving, and the worry factor has escalated tremendously over the last 6 months. And our next one will probably be driving in about a year. Our youngest one, she's probably got about 2 or 3 years, but it's never a dull moment. There's always something going on. And then I do like to stay active. I find that there's really great opportunity to do some of our best thinking when we're outdoors and we're active, going on a run, especially being here in Southern California. We have access to the beach. There's lots of great running paths. And so it's been a really great opportunity to live here, take advantage of the weather, be outdoors, and like I said, just get some of our best thinking done while we're active. I've also had a passion for volunteering, and that's something that I would encourage everyone on this call to do and to think about. If you're on this call, it's probably late in your business day, and that means that you're giving up your own time to hear about a company that might align to your business interests. And so you're taking an active role in your own growth and your own development. And I think that there's probably an opportunity to do some sharing within your own community, whether that is a physical community or whether it is some other type of community. And so I've chosen a few that as my kids have gotten older and they've played in different youth sports leagues, I've played an active role there, being a director on different boards. And then as my oldest has gotten into high school, more recently over the last 2 years, I joined our school district's human rights task force. And so they've taken on a really large agenda to make sure that the students within the school district really feel okay coming to campus and bringing their whole self to work. And I know that we hear a lot about that. We talk about that in just a number of circles. And so we've broken out into different work streams to really take that on. And some of the actions that we've produced and some of the outcomes have been really impressive. And so I'm really looking forward to the next calendar year. Not sure if that's going to put our kids back onto campus, but if it does, we're ready and we'll implement more programs if we can. And then I wanted to finish kind of my own background and my own story with a quote. And it's a quote that I like. If anybody has ever read or studied about our First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, you know that she was a really large activist. And I think that the work that she's done is probably really appropriate even for our times. She saw her position as being a First Lady as a real platform, a platform for change. And so early in the 20th century, she was a huge advocate for rights for women, African Americans, Asian Americans, all kinds of different groups. And even after they were out of office, she continued that, really kind of promoting her work on a global scale. And so the quote that I like here is, if life were predictable, it would cease to really be life, and it would certainly be without flavor. And so we're going to tell you our story tonight, and hopefully we can add some flavor. Great to get in front of a group of technologists. Lynn, nor myself, we are HR folks. We are not technologists, but we work with lots of technologists. So we will do our best to kind of keep up with language as we can. But we're certainly excited to tell our story about our company. So we have a number of topics to move through. Lynn, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for sharing about your background and personal information as well. You've been a great colleague to work with, and with so much to learn from you. And I just want to thank you, everyone, for taking your time to tune into this webinar. And thank you, Dora, as well, our moderator. So I'm going to go over our agenda. We're going to talk about working at Experian, and then we're going to have 5 key takeaways from this webinar. It's going to be critical positions in tech, tips on what we look for on your resume. We're going to talk about Experian Engineer program. And then Mike will be talking about tech skills needed to be successful and career development advice. We'll also have important links at the end for you, as well as additional information for you on your resume. And so we'd like to start off with our first poll question. If you can launch that, Dora.
Okay. Poll is launched. So attendees, please begin your addressing the poll. We've got 67%, 75% university students, 25 graduate students, but folks are still voting. And we are at 50% of our attendees that are voting. 70%. Give them just a couple more seconds. We're at 75%. We're at 80%. So we will go ahead and close the polls and we'll share. And it looks like 41% of our audience tonight is university students, 23% are graduate students, and 32% are 5 years or more in their career.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And so it looks like we do have a mix, and I think there will be some grateful information in this webinar. And Dora, do you mind launching the second poll question?
Sure. Okay, the poll is launched. Are you familiar with Experian? So we've got 10% that have voted. We're up to 20%, 50%. And we hit 70%. So 75%. So we'll go ahead and close the polls and we'll share that 41% are somewhat familiar, 36% are not familiar, and 23% are very familiar.
All right. Well, thank you for that one. And what we'll do is we'll go to the next slide. So we wanted to give you some background information about Experian. And so, Mike, I'll turn it to you for the Experian overview.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I think that the poll results are interesting. I think that for those folks that do know us, and Lynn and I get these questions often from friends and family, which is the idea is that Experian does a lot around credit scoring and credit reporting. And that is true. So when you think about the core of what it is that we do, we generate almost half of our revenue from our credit services businesses. And that's where we deliver best in class credit data. And so there are a number of different kind of life events. You can see some of those that are at the bottom of the screen. That if you're applying for a mortgage, if you are applying for a car loan, we want to be a part of each one of those decisions. We have visibility to about 270 million consumers. So that's a lot of credit data where we can support consumers in just a number of ways. We also have a different business area built around consumer services, where we offer and we monitor ID and protection services. Our marketing services division, we provide enhanced options for our clients to work directly with their consumers. And then our DA, or decision analytics business, we work hands-on with data, where we transform that data so that our clients can make the best decisions possible. So what are we working on, right? What are some of the examples of what we're working on as a business? One of the things that we're proud to work on is built around non-traditional data. So alternative data can provide us with alternative credit options for folks. So we use that non-traditional data to help grant credit access. So traditionally, when you think about the car loan or the home loan that I mentioned previously, we're not capturing other payment history. So for someone that was traditionally paying rent, if they paid rent on time every month, that was not being built into their credit score. If they were paying other things like utility bills or cell phone bills, there was no way to really kind of capture that and build that into a credit score. But it helps to tell the story around every consumer's profile. And so that's something that we've been working on now for a few years. We're also doing a lot around protections for fraud and ID. We know that fraud and ID, that those issues and those challenges, those are at an all-time high. And so our consumer services businesses really help with that. We're using advanced analytics to generate insights that drive results. And we have a data lab, and so I think as technologists that you would get excited about this. We have a data lab that takes a look at new data and how we can use that, how we can serve that for good. And so it's one of the things that we're really proud about in our offerings. Mylene, if you want to move to the next slide.
Yeah. And before we go to the next slide, we have another poll question. I know I love my polls. And it's going to be about what entices you to pick an organization? What makes it different? And so, Dora, if you don't mind launching poll number 3. And the question is, what's most important to you when choosing your new employer?
Hey, poll is launched. And we have 20% have voted. Got 50%. 60%. We're at 75%. So we'll go ahead and close the polls at 80%. And we'll share the results. So we have 52% selected career development and potential for growth. 22% selected culture and diversity and inclusion. 17% selected work-life balance. And 9% selected compensation and benefits.
All right, thank you for sharing that. So So when it comes to thinking about choosing a new company or what's the value in it, it's obvious that compensation is not always the main reason. And so we want to go to our next slide about working experience. So think about these things when I talk about this slide, but for Experian specifically, and I joined Experian about 6 months ago. I'm in a graduate program, and I'll get more into that detail after. But working here are some key highlights about Experian. We have flexible working. So a lot of individuals work from home 100%, or you are able to tailor your schedule. So if Tuesdays and Wednesdays you have cooking class, you work around your own schedule, just making sure you're working on your projects and your meetings. So we're very, very flexible here at Experian. We have 8 employee resource groups and constantly growing. So we have Asian American, our Caribou ERG, our Juntos ERG, our Pride Women Experience. They do a lot of great events. And then we have 20 plus clubs, all within the globally, but as well as the US. And so I'm part of the Gamers Club. So if I'm pointing in the right direction, I have like my Xbox there. So there's just a lot of things that we try to create a fun atmosphere, because while you're there, you're really at work a lot compared to being at home. And so we try to make it fun and engaging. And then we did have hackathons as well. We recently had a global one, and it was 100% virtual. And so that was really exciting. We have a leadership podcast. And so it's free. It's on Spotify. We hear about different leaders. They talk about their life, their career, things like that, where you don't really get that level of detail with our leaders. So I really appreciate them being able to do that. And then lastly, I wanted to highlight that we have 1,200 women in STEM positions. So that kind of ties into our awards, as you see on our bottom right. And the Power of You, that's our diversity and inclusion program. So, because we're proud that we are a very inclusive and diverse work environment. And it only displays by the awards that we receive, because we have great talent. We work together. We just received Fortune 100 Best Company to Work For. We were the Anita B. Grace Hopper Top Employer, as well as for the last 3 years as a gold sponsor. So that's our commitment to promoting women in tech, as well as overall diversity within our workforce. Let's go to the next slide. I wanted to show some great photos of our Juntos ERG events. And so we do a number of events. Every month there's something fun to do. That all these resource groups are managed by employees, 100%. So it's a great way, anybody can join. And as you can see, that's our logo in the middle. And we have dancers, and all these are employees. We're not hiring anybody. And it's just a fun event where you get to learn about culture, you get to network with other individuals. And so this is just a prime example of what we do on campus with our ERG. And on this slide, I wanted to talk about Experian. This is our global footprint. We are a global company. And so we have 4 different regions: North America, which we are part of, and our main headquarters is in Costa Mesa. And then we have Latin America, UK and Ireland, and EMEA and Asia Pacific. So overall, we have 16,000 employees worldwide in 45 countries. And so we work together with everyone, everywhere. And so I have colleagues that I communicate in Asia all the time and in Brazil all the time. So just wanted to give you perspective on our company for our global footprint. And so, Dora, would you like to send out the poll question number 4 before we go on to the next slide?
Sure. All right, launching the poll.
And the question is, are you looking into new job opportunities?
And we are at 25% that have voted.
All right.
%, 70%, 80%, and we'll go ahead and close the polls. We'll share the results. 54% say yes, actively looking, 29% not looking right now, 17% are open if the right opportunity presents itself.
All right, well, thank you. On to our next slide. I wanted to talk about critical positions. So these are for the individuals that are open for new opportunities or actively looking. Or you can also share these with people you may know, but we have critical positions in tech on the screen. So we're really looking for people with sales background, audit risk, as well as product management and marketing, as well as data analytics, data science, and then we have these for cybersecurity, really, really big, UX, UI designers, and software developers. And we, at the end of this presentation, there's going to be a link for you to be able to check out the positions we have, and you can subscribe to job alerts as well, because right now, as you know, there's positions open, and I think with everything going on, there'll be more in the future. So subscribing to the job alerts is great, because then it'll email ping you when the positions you're looking for are available. I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the resume tips for tech positions. So I have 3 main ones here, but there are a lot others that I left at the end of the presentation. And so the first one, and these tips are from our top recruiters. And so I wanted to share with you. The first, placing a statement at the top of your resume with the quick of the types of roles you are looking for. So it's very just eye-catching, straight on the top. Other things are list only the technologies, languages, frameworks that you have experience in. And so Mike will be talking about those specific skills, tech skills, in the later slides, and then put them in order of your strengths, or even call out how much experience you have with them. And the last one is, when describing projects or internships, clearly state what your role was, not just the team, but you. What was their tech stack? What was the outcome? So these are 3 that you can think about in tailoring your resume. And then on slide 14, what you'll see, there's going to be more information, especially we're doing video interviewing right now because of the situation. There's a lot of simple things in there where it's really easy that you can just implement and will make a big difference. Go to the next slide. And this, I wanted to speak about our Engineer Accelerator program. I know that this is tech, and I know that Mike mentioned that we do have a lot of career development programs for early careers as well. So as me, I'm part of the HR Graduate Leadership Development Program. And so I love being in HR, and this gives me the ability to work with different departments and get that experience. So for our Engineer Accelerator program, we have cohorts starting on a yearly basis, and you're starting in a group. So you're not alone, you have like a group of 10 individuals. It's a 2-year program. So every 6 to 8 months, you rotate into different business units. It's helping you accelerate your technical skills, your capabilities, and you're gaining real world experience on a global level. And so these assignments is we work with you on a development plan, and then we identify key capabilities and skills needed to be successful as a software engineer or developer, and we work towards that. And so when there are projects and things that you feel passionate about or you're interested, we want to get you into those projects to help develop your strengths. And overall, at the end of the 2-year program, so you're going to have mentors, you're going to have a program manager, as well as different assignment managers like in automotive, consumer services. So it's a great, great program, especially for anyone that just wants to get exposed to different type of business units and get that experience. Other programs that you can also look into that we do offer, we have internship programs, we have our MBA leadership development program, we also have software developers in automotive, data analysts, and as mine, HR program. All right, Dora, I think this is our last poll question, if you don't mind, for number 5.
All righty. Poll number 5. Launching the poll.
Our last question is, what do you think is the most sought after tech skill?
And we have 20% that have voted. We have 50%. 70%. Slowing down at 80%, so we'll go ahead and close the poll. Share the results. So we have 43% say application development and programming, 30% say data security, 17% say AI and machine learning, and 9% say cloud computing.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And I'm going to go to the next slide and I'll turn over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Mylin. So, yeah, I would probably just split all of those evenly, 25%, because they're all just really so important for us. One of the things that I'm always so impressed about is just the dedication to our products. And so, when you think back to the skills that are required in that polling question, they all kind of feed into our successful products. There is huge passion, and my guess is that there's probably a lot of developers on this call because that was the most popular response. And we love our developers, and they get so passionate about their products, and their products come from diverse places. And so when we talk about the languages that are used, we use Java a lot, Python, we use some .NET, but we want our developers to really be intellectually curious and be willing to learn new languages as well. We also use a variety of frameworks and other technologies. We're really moving ahead with trying to integrate our products onto common platforms. So when you think about some of the pieces that we talked about in the HR background and what we look for in really driving talent and driving successful organizations, how can we utilize resources that are successful on this product today that we can maybe move to that product tomorrow? Our market shifts, our client needs shift, and where we need to emphasize new products, new innovation, where we need to push out new releases, enhancements on those products, we want to work within a agile technology workforce. And by getting everybody onto kind of common languages, we can do that. Our history is made up of a number of different acquisitions. Not all of those products within those acquisitions do a very good job of talking to each other. And so we're doing the work right now to really build those onto, again, common platforms and using common technologies. We're also migrating to the cloud a bit more. So when you think about some of the data security pieces that Mylin talked about earlier, there was always a real challenge. How much do we trust data security in the cloud versus our own systems? And so I think that as we've gotten more and more comfortable with that, that you'll see us migrating to operations more in a cloud environment than they have been. And then just other skills that are really valuable, that as we look at technology and as we look at talent forecasting, we want people with backgrounds in machine learning and AI and robotics as well. And so those are the tech skills, but if we want to also talk about some of the capabilities, Mylin, I think on the next slide. So there are other attributes just beyond kind of hard skills that we would point to. That if you're looking at some guidance and just things to think about in your own career, that some of the things that certainly apply at Experian involves some of the pieces that we talked about, which is looking at continuous innovation. We like folks that are curious. We want to bring folks on that like to tear products apart and say, okay, how does this work and why does this work and how can we make different improvements on this? We want people to really be masters of their craft. One of the things that I really appreciate, it's down under one of the resource bullets, is around our career pathways. And so what we've looked at is as technologists grow within their field, they don't necessarily need to move into a manager or a leadership role. They certainly can, and we have those opportunities as well. But we want to provide an avenue of growth for our technology focused teams that doesn't necessarily pull them into leadership. And so we want them to be a true master of their craft, whether it's as an individual contributor or whether it's as a leader. We also want them to be able to speak the language of business, to know exactly how their work is contributing into our revenue, into our margins, into our EBIT, and how that gives back to the organization overall. So as much as you are a technologist, be a fan of the business and understand the business that you're working in also. We look for folks that are also advocates of Agile. Different business areas are on different parts of that journey. So when you think about Agile maturity and how you can iterate those products and how you can release those products, develop those enhancements and push those back out to clients, that works well within a Agile environment. And so, as I mentioned, it's something that we're pushing out through all of our business units. Some are a bit more mature than others. And then we also like folks to have a product vision, understand kind of what your part of the organization wants to do with that product, and that you should be able to focus on prioritizing and planning, and really kind of thinking about what does that mean next year, 2 years, 3 years from now. We support all of this through different development resources. We've talked about our Pathways resource a bit. We also promote a learning model that is based off of this split that's measured at 70-20-10. So 70% of your learning is going to be on the job. There are different initiatives, projects where individuals and teams are responsible for those, and that they are actually learning on the job. 20% is learning through others. Maybe it's your direct leader, maybe it's other leaders in the business. And then 10% is maybe more formalized training and development. So more classroom, going out to seminars, attending conferences. Mylyn talked about some of the hackathons that we've promoted in the past. And some of our businesses also promote what we call a Tech Connect or a Tech Connection. And that's where we bring all of our technology talent together, where they can select off of a menu of different topics, things that are interesting to them. They're going to provide help with their development. And I think, Mylyn, I'm turning it back over to you.
All right. And I'm just going to show you guys our last two slides. This one's the important links for your Experian resources and our social channels. And so this link here is our careers. Make sure you sign up for those job alerts, positions that you're interested in, as well as follow us on social channels. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's where you can get some updates about the company and things like that. If you are interested in that engineer program or any of those early career programs, feel free to use that third link near the bottom. And then if you want to look at our D&I and things like that, look at the Working at Experian. And then lastly is my LinkedIn URL. If you want to add me as a friend or you want to ask me any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can direct you to the right point of contact. And then our last slide is additional interview tips. So this is all for you. Feel free to take a look and see if anything is helpful for you. I didn't want to put on that other slide. I wanted to do the main three focus, but all of these great tips that our TA team shared are really, really good. So that is it. That's our presentation. So Doris, do you have any? Is there any questions for us?
See here, actually, we do have one from Juan Yanes Benatuil. Love that name. And he's asking, so a big shout out to him, to Juan. He's asking, what advice do you give to engineering students that are business oriented but don't have a mastery on tech skills?
All right. Like, would that be something you're able to answer?
Yeah. So one, it's a really interesting question. So we've seen people come from diverse backgrounds, and one of the things that I've always appreciated about some of our technology leaders is that they've really kind of tried to develop both, and they've primarily done it in this way. They focused on an area of tech specialty that's really interesting to them, and that has kind of been built around their bachelor's degree. So, right as they've gone off to their university, they've looked across different technology topics and found their area of specialization. As they've gotten into the business, then they've had probably a greater appreciation for some of the business fundamentals. And many of those folks have gone on to go to graduate school with an emphasis and a focus in business, MBAs, right? And so they come out with not only the technology talent and the technology skill set, but also just a really good foundation and fundamentals built around business as well. Most companies, Experian is true to this as well, will support tuition reimbursement. So it's a program that we support. We talked about continuous learning. We want to see that with all of our employees, and where we can support that financially, we want to be a part of that journey as well. And so that's probably, especially for those folks that are looking to go into technology leadership, that really gives you kind of a foot in both areas, technology fundamentals as well as business fundamentals.
Mike, I also want to add on to that. You know, SHIP has a program called the SHIP Propel program, where we offer specific tech courses such as AI and machine learning for our members. And so I highly recommend that to anyone listening tonight, to any of our SHIP members, to check out, go to our website, ship.org, check on the Propel program, and it's all, you know, you can find the tech courses that you need right there, and to help you out. So we've got another question from Jose Cabrales, who says, really good advice. I work for Experian as a contractor, and I love to work inside, so I'm improving my skill to apply. Great advice, and thanks for this. So thanks for sharing, Jose. All right, and then Madel Leal is saying, could you share the previous slide? So let's go back to the previous slide and see what specifically.
Was it this one?
Yeah. All right. So so Madel, just so you know, this video will be recorded and will be under our latinXfactor tab on our ship.org website, so you can go back and review that, and it'll be recorded as a YouTube video, so you can find that there. And then we have, let's see, Juan Yanes replied again, and he said, thank you for your reply. Also, could you give me more details on the internship opportunities at Experian? And actually, that's what I also had a question on, and I would love for you to expand a little bit about the internship opportunities.
Great question. We have I work with a really great person that oversees the internship program, so she can definitely be able to explain it much more than me. I work very closely with the Engineer Accelerator program, but for the internship program, you can always go to that website in the important links, and it'll talk about the opportunities there. And right now, I think we have about 20 to 50 interns that just started, and it's like 2 groups that start over the summer and across all BUs. And so feel free to check out that website and apply, because we have a lot of great opportunities for interns. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. All right. So those are all the questions that have come in so far. We forgot to tell them to go ahead and send their questions throughout the presentation. So attendees, please go ahead and do that. If you have more questions, go ahead and send them in. A big shout out that I want to give Experian is, I want to go back to your point on the 1,200 women in STEM positions, I mean, that is absolutely amazing. And I definitely want to commend you and your team for that. That is one area that we are focused on, that we want to grow in. So congratulations to Experian for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dora.
Okay. So Sergio Perez is asking about the rotational program. Is the program open now?
Actually, the deadline for this year has already closed. Our cohorts just started about a month ago. And so, but you can always apply because we're always constantly open to interviewing and getting people ready for the next cohort. So I would definitely check it out if you're interested in it. It's a great opportunity. I'm working with the old and new cohorts right now, and they're a lot of fun. They're a great bunch of people, talented. Get to work on some great projects. So feel free, and you can always add me on LinkedIn and reach out to me if you have any questions.
Okay, so what can you just share one important thing that you've learned from that program?
From the engineer program?
Uh-huh.
I would say, per se, I'm not in the program. I'm in the HR grad, but overall, I would say something really important about these programs is it's really rare to find these type of programs in any company where we're really investing in the individuals, because we know that you're talented, you're smart, and we want to give you those tools to be able to get that experience and put you into those different scenarios or experiences. And so, for example, if I'm in HR, HR is broken up into many pieces. It can be like HR business partner, it could be talent acquisition, it could be talent management. So I get to work in all these different departments in different rotations. So I'm soaking in all of this information, and it's kind of helping me understand or leading me to what kind of career I want to be in. And so if it would be the same thing with the engineer program, you think about with your mentor, he's going to ask you, what do you want to become? A Scrum Master? Do you want to be cybersecurity? So he's helping you develop into what you want to be. So at the end of the rotation, you'll have a greater understanding of what kind of role and career you would like to be in.
Okay, we have some more questions that have come in. So Jordania Perea is asking, is the Tech Accelerator just for current students? He has an MBA and I'm a software engineer bootcamp grad. Would I still be able to be a candidate?
I would say yes. I would look at the requirements for the position, but usually you have to have graduated. Definitely. The ones that I've worked with, they just recently graduated with their bachelor's degree, some with masters. And Mike, you can attest to what I'm saying if it's true.
Yeah, and right, and I would say that don't forget the content that we covered. I forget what slide it was on, maybe slide 8 or so. That we do have other positions that are open, and so you can go to our careers page at any time and take a look. Just explore. I think that our careers page also tells just a great story of kind of who we are culturally as well, and so I think that it can reinforce some of the themes and some of the headlines that we've tried to share tonight. But we've got a number of technology roles that are open at any given time. You can find them there.
Okay. So my question to you, Mike, what are some of your favorite podcasts or books that you're studying right now?
Oh, good question. I'll go first. Mike, you probably already know. Mine is, because if I was in engineering, I definitely have a book to tell you, but I'm not. Mine's in HR. And so for me, what I listen to is, I listen to the leadership podcast at Experian, because I'm getting insights from these leaders that I have no idea, and learning about great stuff from them. And so that's something that I listen to, especially when I'm walking with my dog outside. And then other things are, I always want to advance my career. And so if anybody is in HR, I'm studying for my certification in HR for a senior level. And so those are kind of the two things that I'm really looking to. And then overall, I surf the internet a lot, so I can't really give you a name of a specific webcast or things like that. But that's just a little about me. And then Mike?
Yeah. So yeah, I like to navigate around the web as well. One of my favorite landing places is Harvard Business Review, and they have just fantastic business articles there. And I think that they limit you to the number that you can view, right? Unless you actually sign up as a member. But you can look through their list of topics, and there's just a great selection of different topics to review. One of the books that I'm presently finishing is Leading from the Middle. And when you look at organizations and where organizations probably rely on the most impact and the most drive, our middle managers and our middle leaders, they're the ones that are really organizing and driving teams. And so it's a fantastic read, especially if you have ambition to get into a leadership position, or if you're already there. I would highly recommend that.
Okay. So we have another question from Suzanne Garniero, and she wants to know, does Experian value higher education degrees such as masters and PhDs?
We do, right? So when you think about the different levels that we operate in, individual contributors all the way up to senior leaders, we try and build profiles based on what skills would be required for those roles. And oftentimes, and you'll find this if you go out to our careers page, different positions will be very clear about what those educational backgrounds and standards are. We want to apply that knowledge. And as I talked about before, we want to support tuition reimbursement as well. So if you're already currently one of our employees, we want you to devote time to actually going out and getting that master's degree, getting that advanced degree, especially within some of our data roles. We have a number of folks that have earned large advanced degrees, PhDs. And so we certainly want to encourage that. Where we find candidates with those backgrounds and skill sets, we want to leverage those when and where we can.
Okay. And Susan says, that's great to know. Thank you. And Jose Cabrales wants to know, what are the requirements to apply for the Engineer Accelerator program, and where can he find info on this?
Great question. I have the PowerPoint presentation pulled up on that specific slide. It's the third one that says Early Careers Program. Just type that into a web browser and it will talk about all the information about those positions. So when it comes to the engineer program, they are looking for experience. They know that you're graduating because that's one of the requirements. You have to graduate. But they know that, you know, what kind of projects that you worked out at school, or what did you do for any internships. Those would be really great to list there, because we just want to see, you know, are you familiar with any language like Python, Java, any cloud, things like that. And yeah, I think those are the two main ones, the degree and just having some experience.
Okay. And Juan Yanis is asking, could you share your contact info one more time? So you see it at the bottom of this screen. Mylin's LinkedIn profile is down there. So we've got that question. So I think we'll wrap it up with each of you sharing one critical point, one critical takeaway from this learning experience that you want our members to walk away with.
Okay. And Mike, if you don't mind, I'll go first.
Sure.
I would say that take the time to really look into what kind of company you want to work for. Look at their mission and their values and what they provide for their employees, especially with D&I initiatives, career development, because then you'll get a feel of, is this the kind of company that you want to work for? And definitely check out their social media channels, because if they're posting fun events, they're posting meaningful things that you feel like you want to be a part of, I think that's a great way for you to get a really good idea. Hey, is this company right for me? Because if you're making a huge investment on yourself into a company. So I would say that would be my takeaway from this.
Yeah, and so I think that that's great counsel. And I think that when you do find either that fit, or maybe there's a couple of companies that you're looking at, really think about how you're going to tell your story. So we've talked about some of the attributes and some of the capabilities that make people successful here. And we've talked about taking risks, and we've watched people and we've told them, look, it's okay to fail, learn from that failure and develop that. But be ready to tell that story so that it fits with all the pieces that Mylin just talked about. Culturally, that works at Experian. It may not work at all organizations, but where you can tell your story to actually kind of create excitement in that alignment between yourself and what they have to offer, it's going to make your chances that much more. That much better.
Thank you, Mylin. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that feedback and those great strategies. And I'm going to give one more shout out to our Ship Propel program, where you can sign up and take some of these tech skills that will help prepare you for experiences like at Experian or any other job opportunity. So there you go, Ship Familia. Join me in thanking Mike and Mylin. Bravo. We appreciate the Experian team for sharing such valuable knowledge with us. We hope to see you at the July 29th webinar as we listen to the team from Discover Card, who have multiple career opportunities as well within the tech industry that we will be exploring to learn how you can cater your skill set to the IT career you want. Ship Familia, please remember to take our survey. You'll receive a thank you email with the survey link after this webinar. We need your feedback to make this program the best it can be. And the last reminder, this recording along with the others are found on the ship.org website in the programs tab. So again, Mylin, Mike, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Signing off from Ship National. Buenas noches, Ship Familia.
Buenas noches.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Dora.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Bye.